pour ce champ qui va de partout. Ils sont fous, c'est magnifique. On continue. Allez, 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 allez.
Notre leader en feu qui nous transmet l'énergie.
Anna me dit que c'est vous qui faites le plus de bruit, faites voir.
Alors, 500. Voilà. How are you? Good, and you? Yes. Yes. 58.
Allez, Capine, attention. C'était magnifique, franchement, c'était juste énorme. On va savoir si vous avez été bon, on va prendre la sensation dans la cabine qui est juste derrière vous, c'est la cabine commentateur. Regardez, regardez, ils sont en train de faire le fou. Ils sont partis là, vous les avez lancés, donc c'est magnifique. Guillaume, Fred, est-ce que pour la première fois et pour cette première course, ça a bougé dans la cabine?
Allez, on va dire que ça commence à bouger. Hein. Voilà, on ouvre cette semaine. Super ambiance, vraiment, c'est fabuleux. Malgré voilà, ces conditions de un chapeau Fred à toutes celles et ceux qui sont présents dans ce stade. Et toi, non plus, tu voulais aussi faire un petit big up, ça a été fait, mais de ta part, voilà, à tous ces bénévoles finalement sans qui rien n'est possible.
Ouais, j'avais une grosse pensée pour eux, je suis arrivé lundi et je les ai vus à l'heure, et eux qui sont là déjà depuis plusieurs semaines. Donc je voulais vraiment sincèrement les remercier. On peut les croiser sur le stade, dans les tribunaux, dans le village, dans les temples, partout. Et c'est vrai que sans eux, ça serait un peu plus compliqué quand même. Donc bravo, un grand bravo à ces 930 bénévoles qui sont ici.
La Coupe du Monde est si grande et ça fait que croître finalement année après année. Hein. C'est juste incroyable, c'est Alban Gobert qui gère tout ça.
After a year away, we are back at Le Grand Bonnard for the third stage of the 2024-25 IBU World Cup. 60,000 fans expected to flood into this secluded part of the French Alps for the next 4 days as Annecy hosts the Biathlon World Cup for a 6th time. We are kicking things off today with a men's 10-kilometre sprint, 3 laps of the 3.3-kilometre course, one of 4 variations that we'll see in this final stop before the Christmas break. Alongside myself, Ellen Ellard, is Chad Salmela, and Chad, well, plenty of rain overnight and heavier as well through this morning. Cloud cover beginning to move away from the top of the mountains, but it's already had such a huge effect on the course.
Yeah, the great thing is that the course is mostly man-made, snow made from machines, so the water should filter through it relatively quickly. It's not the natural snow that falls from the sky that tends to saturate a little bit more. So that's a great thing about the course, but still it made the proceedings of getting your rifle zeroed on the target pretty wet for the athletes.
And aside from the weather, the big headline for the next 2 days, the absence of the elder of the Bow brothers from the first 2 races of this weekend. He will still compete in the mass start owing to his ranking in the top 25 overall. On paper, Chad, it all comes down to quota paces as we take a look at the start list for this men's 10-kilometre sprint. 7 Norwegians on the first 2 rounds in Kontiolahti and Hochfilzen, because they had an additional quota place because of Bjørn Sørlum, who of course won the general classification in the men's IBU Cup last season. That quota now back to 6 athletes. And it is the veteran Talia Bow, who of course won the Sprint Globe last season, who has had to make way.
Yeah, the Norwegian squad kind of just spoke about the choice for Johannes or for Talia Bow to sit out, but he doesn't really have to. I mean, I think it's a choice either by the coaches themselves or Talia Bow and the coaches together, because Talia Bow has struggled with his ski form. There's no doubt about it. He is ranked higher than Uldal. He is ranked higher than Strømsheim. He's ranked higher than Sørum. But those 3 get the nod today, and I think a lot of it has to do with possibly Talia Bow came in just a little too tired from the training coming into the season. It's just a guess. I can't say for sure, but he certainly doesn't need to sit out. It's a choice by the Norwegian Federation.
Yeah, per Arne Bortnen saying that Uldal has had some good competitions. We've seen that, of course, in the IBU Cup where he started this season. The statement continues saying they've really shown himself, which is why he has the chance here at Le Grand Bonnard. Competition is incredibly tough, he adds. In addition to all those who have had the chance to race in the World Cup so far, they still have a number of youngsters on the IBU Cup who are still knocking hard on the door. That includes, of course, we've seen Martin Uldal come up, Johan Olav Borten, who was on the podium, sprint podium, towards the end of last season in Soldier Hollow. Isaac Frey as well. There was discussion whether him or Martin Uldal would get the call up. It feels, Chad, that this is a little bit of a transitional season for the Norwegians.
It's certainly a nod that direction. I think the choice to take Talia Bow out is it's a sort of the Bow brothers have been untouchable. They get the starts, they get the relay starts. So this is a bit of a shift, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the long haul. It certainly has us talking about it today.
We, of course, will see him in the mass start owing to that top 25 ranking. You mentioned him there, of course, the younger of the 2 brothers, Johannes Thingnes, his first of his 87 wins was here in 2013, 2014. He also then went on in the next couple of days to win the pursuit here as well in that season. Will it be 88 today? And this just seems like a course that goes in his favour, very similarly to Hochfilzen.
Well, I remember calling that race because we had all heard of Talia Bow, and this youngster comes out. I think he was 19 at the time, if I'm not mistaken. We called the race, and he won the race, came back and won the pursuit. And I said, I remember saying, we're going to see, this is a star of the future. Well, here we are, 87 wins and 11 years later. And I think if you look at his track record on this course with the fitness he's got coming in from the last 2 World Cup stops, he's won 4 of 6 starts here in this discipline. This is a great venue for him. JT Bow is the guy to beat today.
So Bogdan Schimdahl, who we've just seen there, will be kicking things off, bib number 1 in this men's sprint. And we did have a jury decision this morning that we will be sticking with the new start group. So Chad, just remind us, this season, the new introduction of the start groups. Yeah, so the first 15 athletes will go out based on their IBU ranking. They're not in the top 30, they're outside the top 30. Then the blue group is ranked 15 to 30. They'll go out with alternating with unseeded skiers all the way out until bib 43, and then from there out will be the red group, which is the top 15 skiers in the overall World Cup, separated again by non-ranked skiers or lower-ranked skiers outside the top 30, and then the remainder of the field will go out after that. So the issue there is that in former years, before this new rule, the conditions dictate the best athletes could pick the conditions they want to ski in. So our first athlete is underway out on the course, Bogdan Schimdahl of Ukraine, and the noise as he pushed away was quite something. Joschka Burkhalter of Switzerland next to go. He's actually in his highest positions in the standing, 39th. Having a good start on a personal level to his season. Yeah, I think the course will hold up just fine. As I said, the rain had people talking. I think the jury talked about it and realized that there's not a huge disadvantage in the way the start order was picked last night, and they decided to stick with it. To
to be clear, they wouldn't go back to the old style. They would just move the top athletes to the front of the field if they made that such a decision.
Telo Seppälä of Finland, an impressive 97% in the throwing position so far this season.
Yeah, his high water mark was 12th in the overall standings in 2022 season, and at 43rd right now, I think the biggest problem for him is the 68% standing shooting statistic he's at right now. It's his worst standing shooting by over 10% in the last 4 years. Get a shot at Campbell right. And looks like one of the Czech athletes, I think it's Marasek, warming up.
René Jacquenat, yet to finish in the top half of the field so far this season. Didn't qualify for the pursuit in Hopfilzen, and of course we'll be looking to change that today. The sprint race, the top 60 going through to the pursuit. We'll have the women's sprint, of course, tomorrow, and then we will go into double days of races on Saturday and Sunday. Jan Gunker of Poland, impressive at junior level, yet to see it truly reflected at senior level. Still only 22 years old though.
Yeah, makes his home in Zakopane, Poland, which is a huge sports center. They have ski jumping, biathlon, cross-country skiing there. It's a big sports school. I went to the World University Games there back in 1993. It's a beautiful place if you ever want to go to the Tatry Mountains in southern Poland.
And the first of our French contingent, and the noise will crank up a few levels as Emilien Claude pushes away.
You had to hang on to your hat there with the roar coming from the crowd. First of the French team on course, and you'll start hearing where he is around the course based on the cheers.
Absolutely. Improving on his ski speed this season. He was 24th in the sprint in Kontiolahti. Maxim Makalov. Final deep breaths.
From Moldova, big 7. 25 years of age in his 29th World Cup start. A lot of these early goers still trying to find their way and getting their experience in at the World Cup level.
He'll be eyeing up a first top 20 finish. His best was that 23rd in the sprint in Ruhpolding last season. Jingyuan Yang of China on the IBU Cup for the whole of last season. The 28-year-old back on the World Cup circuit now.
He's got a little bit of experience. He's got 56 World Cup starts. Currently ranked 44th in the overall standings is Jan as he's out on course.
And with his brother already out on the course, Florent Claude, the only of the 3 Claude brothers to compete for Belgium.
The eldest, 33 years of age. He's kind of the patriarch, or the leader of the 3 boys, with the two of them skiing for France. The oldest one skiing for Belgium. Their mother is Belgian, their father is French.
His 195th World Cup start today, as you see, Rastagujevs of Latvia, who, as we were looking through the results from 2013, his name, one of the handful of athletes still competing on the circuit who were here for that first race in the 2013-2014 season.
For years was a very fast skier, struggled to hit targets in the standing position. Has finally later in his career slowed down his skiing a little bit, but started hitting more targets. 83% standing shooting, or 83% shooting this year. That's down 3% from last year, but that was his high water market. First time he ever cracked 80% last year for Rastagujevs.
Seppälä starting bib number 3, and at the 1.5 kilometer mark, he's the fastest of the first 3 athletes through.
Yeah, that first mark is just to kind of see where you're feeling, see how you're feeling. Your coach is going to tell you whether you should pick it up or slow it down based on the field, but still only 7 athletes through there as we go to number 12.
Jesper Nalen competed here 4 out of the 6 events. 3 relay podiums already this season, looking to make that impact as an individual athlete though. No top 20 individual finishes. He'll be looking to correct that today.
scored his first career podium last year at the end of the season, the very last race of the season last year in the Master in Oslo. Got his first podium after 224 starts for Nelian today.
Still looking to break really into the top 20 though this season. Hasn't quite gone his way. Impressed in on his relay legs. But really needs to translate that form. He is Emilien Claude.
We're not getting the early parts of this course. This course is it's got two parts of it. You got this long climb at the end of it where they come to the high point of the valley using the V2 technique. The early part of it, a lot of turning, lots of transitional skiing in the first kilometer of this course, but then at this high point, it starts to head back down to the stadium. It's a 3.3 kilometer course.
And it is the Frenchman, Emilien Claude, who leads the way at 1.5 kilometers. Quick shot of Antonin Guiganot, wearing bib 24 today. Here is the experienced Simon Eder, bib number 15, still 100% in the prone position this season.
We got a little bit of insight from his coach yesterday on the shooting range, how he zeroes him. He zeroes him a little bit left. He shoots left to right on the targets, and Eder shoots so fast that his body position changes just a little bit, so his zero naturally changes. So the coach zeroes him a little to the left so that he's kind of in the middle of the target by the middle and last shots.
And a brilliant insight into what he might pursue post a career in biathlon on Biathlon World. He actually brews his own beer. There's a fun fact for you. Vítězslav Hornig next to make his start in this men's 10-kilometer sprint. A drastic improvement in his ski speed this season. Really turned it up a notch. 3 personal best performances in Kontiolahti, 3 top 30 finishes, and continued that good form into Hogfilzen as well.
His shooting is suffering from that. That's pretty common, though, when an athlete makes a big jump forward in skiing, like Hornig, just 24 years of age. You tend to see your shooting come down just a little bit, but it's resulting in a much higher overall World Cup standing. He's in 25th place right now in the standings.
Yeah, looking to continue that good form here in Annecy. As we have our first athletes starting to make their way round and into the range. A brilliant overhead shot there. As we watch Joschka Burkhalter drop down into the prone position. Just 2 shooting stages. You have to get it right.
Comes into the 7.3 second advantage on Cymbal, the Ukrainian first skier into the range. Nice 2-second cadence, very quick shooting. Oh, missed there. So Cymbal, clean, should lead as Burkhalter goes to the penalty loop.
Yep, once around the penalty loop for Joschka Burkhalter. Telo Seppälä now.
So the time to beat on the bottom of your screen, 15.5 seconds ahead of Cymbal coming in. So Seppälä skiing quite a bit faster than the Ukrainian. Nice quick shooting. A lot of confidence in this position for Seppälä, and he should be the new leader.
Just has to remember to pick up his poles. And he does exit the range in the lead, 12.2 seconds ahead of Cymbal. Jan Gunker now. Not able to match the early pace. Coming into shooting is down 4.7 seconds. He made a quick start, but just dropped off the pace coming into the range.
Yeah, he was even with Seppälä at the 1.5 kilometer, halfway around that loop. But then backed it off. It's a long, slow downhill long, gradual downhill into the shooting range. I would say this is one of the easiest, if it's calm like it is now, just light wind out there, it's one of the easier shooting ranges to approach in the entire World Cup circuit. But missed shot there.
So off around the penalty loop he goes as Emilien Claude, first miss for the Frenchman, but each hit celebrated by the crowd who pack out the stand behind the range.
So the field so far with 6 athletes, not a lot of clean shooting, just 2 athletes clean so far, Seppala and Simbal. They're separated by 12 seconds. And then Emilien Claude goes into the penalty loop.
Adam Runnels of Canada, his 99th World Cup start. He'll be hoping that he can make it 100 tomorrow in the pursuit. Well, not tomorrow, on Saturday even.
Runnels' career best finish in the overall was 2 seasons ago. He's 38th, currently sitting 50th. So a little bit of a room for improvement for him to show what he's done in the past.
He only competed in the relay in Hochfilzen.
Because Jingwan Yan now, as Guiganat head into the start for France. Anthony Guiganat got his first ever podium here over 10 years ago.
Yeah, another shooter who's been doing very well in the prone position, Guiganat. There's Jan in for his first shoot.
Nice focus by Jan. Taking his time though, 3-second cadence. Nothing wrong with that though. Just make sure they go down. Not gonna take the lead. Came in 6 seconds out. Going to lose a little bit of time on the shooting range with that relatively stable but deliberate shooting, we should call it.
Fourth as he comes out the range, 13.1 seconds down.
Philip Horn now chasing the time of Jesper Nelin. He's getting him by 1/10 of a second at the 0.7 kilometer mark. Here's Rastaguyev with a little bit of a lead on Seppala. Not a big difference, just 0.2 of a second, but Rastaguyev is very quick on the shooting range, 27 seconds total. See where that stacks him up against the Finn.
Yeah, surely it will be Rastaguyev's coming out in the lead, 3.4 seconds, his advantage. We have 23 athletes now out on the course. Johannes Kuhn.
Here's Jesper Nelin now. He's got a nice big lead. This is the first of the really strong, what I would consider the strong skiers of the first 15 bibs. And not surprisingly, he's 15.3 seconds up on Rastaguyev's coming in. I'm getting to see the target, but hard to see where the target. There's a miss. That was at 4 o'clock. That looked like center. Really hard to tell from this angle.
So hard to pick out the prone ring, but just one miss for Jesper Nelin, and once around the penalty loop. Daniele Capellari, the Italian.
27 years old in his 28th start of his career.
Personal best in this event in Kontiolahti.
There's Campbell Wright, the blue bib wearer, and Vetle Sjosta Christensen.
Jeremy Filello.
This is an athlete who's skiing very fast. He's one among the fastest skiers in the field, but he has typically had very poor standing shooting. He has not crested 60% accuracy in his standing shooting in the last 4 years. If he could do that, I think he could find his way to the podium. He's got the speed to do it, but Finello, I'm just waiting for him to surprise us one day.
Yep, and well, this would be somewhere where he'd be quite keen to do that. From around 45 kilometers away, just over the border in Geneva.
So we go to the Croatian skier, Krasimir Sunkovic, 70th World Cup start. Let's go back out on the course. This is that long, gradual climb that takes you up the valley. This is a where you want to keep your technique in the V2 style, not drop into a V1. Although late in the race and slow conditions, you might see that. But see the athletes pushing off every foot, off of every kick with their poles. You want to keep your weight forward and keep your momentum going. This is what makes this course so good for Johannes Thingnes, because he's so good at this technique and keeping his speed on these gradual uphills.
Yeah, there'll be few people happier to be making that climb than Antonin Guiganot. As we see, Martin Ponzalomo has plenty of work to do this weekend. Really hasn't hit his stride yet. With a Lapshin in the colours of Korea.
Okay, this is the first serious threat now to Rostoguyevs in a few bibs. This is number 18 now, Philip Horn, coming in 18.3 seconds up on Rostoguyevs. You can see he's breathing hard and taking his time. He's gone for it. Definitely pushing the speed on the skis. 4 seconds between first and second shot. That's a long pause. But he gets them all.
But he's clean, and that's all that matters. No top 15 finishes this season. But we have been surprised on a number of occasions in this event over the last 2 stops on the World Cup Tour, with some wearing earlier bibs.
Horn had a near podium hit last year, his best ever finish, 4th in Lenzerheide in this sprint competition. So he certainly has the power to do it, and he's leading now by 15.3 seconds. That's a nice amount of time for Horn's lead.
Danilo Rietmuller and Maxime Germain coming in together.
Rietmuller comes in 3.2 seconds back of his teammate Horn. So the Germans, the fact that Horn was 15 seconds clear of Rostoguyevs coming in, or 18 seconds clear, and Rietmuller's right with him, just 3 seconds back. I think the Germans probably have some really good skis today.
Yep, there's the miss for Danilo Rietmuller as Seppala in for his final shoot. A miss for him. 3 misses for Danilo Rietmuller, and well, that is not what you need at all.
Well, I think he's probably maybe again. He and Horn both kind of flying close to the sun on that first lap, skiing a little too hard. But we saw Tero Seppala leave from the standing shoot. That's the best standing shooting performance I think we've seen from him. 1 miss for Seppala this year in the standing is actually pretty solid for him. 9 for 10 for Seppala. Not going to be enough to get him on the podium, but maybe help turn his season around just a little bit, which has really struggled from the standing position.
31 seconds his advantage at this point. Just 4 athletes into shooting 2. Didier Bionats.
I'm really surprised that that Horn was that fast coming in. It's a big gap, 15 seconds on Rostoguyevs, who's not a slouch skier at all. Bionats traveling by 13 seconds. So the Germans coming in serious. Rietmuller can't hold it together, but Horn right now with a really serious lead starting early in the start order for the Germans. 1
miss for Didier Bionats, and the Italian off around the penalty loop. Emilien Claude, 1 miss from the prone position.
Certainly has a shot here to take the lead, even with that miss, because Seppala has one from the standing position. But he's got to be clean.
Yeah, he needs to be perfect here. And there's a miss. And there's another. It's all falling apart for the Frenchman. 3 misses on the day. 300 meters around the penalty loop. Ponzalomo into the lead. 10 seconds up at 1.5 kilometers. And the Swede means business today.
Yeah, we were saying how fast Horn looked coming in, and you see Horn still 14.8 seconds ahead of Antonin Guiganot, who knows this course like the back of his hand. And Guiganot hasn't even taken a shot yet, and he's inside 5 seconds to take the lead. He won't, even if he's clean.
3 out of 3. You can hear the roars in the background. It wasn't a given that Antonin Guiganot would be here, and he goes clean. Dropped down to the B team in spring. He said he would have been so disappointed if it would have been his final time here in 2022 without him knowing. Says he's even going to pretend that this is his last visit, make it incredibly special. And he's 14.5 seconds down coming out of the range.
0.8 of a second ahead of Rostoguyevs, takes second from third. So Guiganot trying to keep it together, keep the French crowd fired up. He goes clean.
Lucas Hofer, another of the names who was here in 2013.
Okay, now some people giving Philip Horn a run for their money. Lucas Hofer 7.7 seconds back. had sat out part of the season, most of the season last year with an injury, trying to find that fitness that he's had in the past. That's a good start for Hofer.
Yeah, really strong start for Lucas Hofer as we see Martin Oldal push away. He'll drop into second position, 9 seconds behind our leader. Here's Rastiguyevs back in.
Oh, 2 misses. Came in even with Seppala. Both of them were clean prone. Here's Johannes Kuhn.
And the first miss for him.
Yeah, Kuhn won't figure into it with that. Already 4 seconds past, he's got 2 loops. So we look and we wait for Martin Ponzoloma, but in the meantime, man who wore the yellow bib just a week ago.
Yeah, young Eric Perrault, 23 years old, won the mass start in Kontiolahti. He's only raced here twice before. And listen to the noise. He's so popular. And he's come such a long way. The first time he raced here, sprint, 68th he was in 2021, and now over the course of the last 3 years he's really transformed into a contender.
Yeah, 23 years of age, he's a huge star for the future for France. His dad, Franck Perrault, was a World Cup athlete back in the 90s as well. Here's Nelin now. He had a miss from the prone position, but still a solid time coming in against Seppala. But maybe just working a little too hard, doesn't have the composure that he needs to get them all down. He's 2 misses so far on the day, and that'll be what it is. One more time around the loop for Nelin.
Jeremy Finello started quickly through the first kilometre or so.
Yeah, Finello was 5th after 1.5 kilometers. Maybe taking it a little bit more in control to ensure that he has some dexterity to knock some standing shots down. He's going to be back a little ways, not going to be in the top 3, but still he's got the ski speed to find his way back into that lead over the next ski loop.
Third, 9.4 seconds behind Philip Horn.
Here now is Ponzoloma. He's flying on the course, comes in with 11.9 seconds on Horn. He's got 35 seconds to get to the timing check. And it just keeps going south for the Swede. 2 straight misses from prone. What is Martin Ponzoloma going to do about his prone shooting? Just a horrible start to the season. 79%, or actually worse than that, 65% average, and he's got 4 misses.
1 hit out of 5. As Fiormaillet starts and is met by a wall of noise. He was hyping the crowd up as he came out of zeroing. He really took his time to come along the front of the stand. He was hyping them up, waving his arms in the air, trying to create as much noise as possible. And, well, he'll be feeding off it as he makes his way around the course. Hornig of Czechia, clean in the prone position.
Comes in with a very tight with Seppala. And Seppala had a miss. If Hornig can go clean, he's not going to. Oh, it just dropped.
Misses.
Just lack of focus. You could see he had good focus through the first 3 and then just kind of went away. Here's Horn now. Maybe with a chance to do something special from early in the start order. Has been leading since the early kilometers, but there's a miss. Still has time to maybe take the lead with that penalty.
Yep.
He still may take the lead. He's got 1 minute and 2 seconds. I think he'll still lead after he goes through the penalty loop.
Yeah, had that 32.5 second advantage, around 23 seconds to get round the penalty loop.
Horn flying on the skis.
Yep. Expect to see him come out in the lead.
Saw 34 leaving there. That was Anton Dudchenko doing very well this year, 24th ranked in the overall standing is Dudchenko. I think he was leading he left shooting in 4th place. That's why we saw Dudchenko. Didn't get the graphic, but he's currently in 4th behind Finello, Hofer, and Horn. That's your leader group after roughly 30 people have come through.
So Eric Perrault will be quite some way, 12.8 seconds behind Ponsaloma, but we have just seen Ponsaloma fail to hit more than one in the range in his prone visit. Seppala over the line, followed closely by Joska Burkhalter, but Burkhalter starting 30 seconds before him.
That's a nice finish by Seppala. I don't think, it's not going to be a podium likely, but 9 out of 10, he's needed that, but he skied very well as well. So setting the time to beat is Seppala. Winning time from 2 years ago at this venue was Johannes Thingnes win 23:30. So about Seppala today, on this day, 24:30. He's about a minute back.
For Bjorn Sørlum up into second. And you can take that early pace from Martin Ponsaloma with a pinch of salt. And that's good from Justus Strelo. He's stepped up his ski speed just fractionally this season and hasn't really been able to hit the same heights we've seen of him in terms of shooting accuracy from the last 2 seasons. He takes a look up on the timing board as he goes past.
Well, the Germans are doing a lot with what they've got on the course right now. They've got 1-2 in Horn and Strelo. Then it's Lucas Hofer, the Italian, in third. And here's Bionats trying to ski off that penalty from the prone position. He's not going to quite do it. Comes in 47.3 seconds back of Horn. And Horn looks like he skied great the last loop.
Another miss though for Didier Bionats. 2 on the day, 300 meters added to his race. Sturla Holmlagride, well, he is in some really consistently good form through the early races this season. And certainly one to watch for a podium, if not the victory today. Here's Antonin Giganot.
28 seconds back, coming in.
And a first miss. The groans turn to cheers and groans again. But he's cheered out of the range. Moves his glasses down to his head. We saw him in Zurich earlier with swimming goggles on. He's decided to change them out.
Oh, the joker is Gigonat. Here is Martin Uldal now.
Yep, the young Martin Uldal, 23 years old, making the step up from the IBU Cup after some really strong and consistent performances to start the season. He's been given the nod. And, well, we've seen just how quick he can be in terms of shooting. And he's fast once again, and he's clean this time, which is the most important thing.
Sebastian Samuelsson leading the start, but we'll see what Uldal's time is, as also Hofer in the breakout coming into standing. Hofer entered their shooting range 20 seconds back. Clean. It tells you how fast Horn is skiing. Oh, and he drops it. Just jump. He looked back. He thought he maybe had that shot, but that 10th shot, and you can see him shaking his head. He knows he doesn't quite have the ski speed to contend with that miss.
Yeah, he relived that again, didn't he, as he moved away from the mat. So after shooting one, it is Martin Uldal who leads by 1.9 seconds. There's not much in it at all between him and Philip Horn. Justus Strelo in third. As we look at the intermediate splits from shooting one, is 9.1 seconds down. Lucas Hofer once again takes a look to the big screen just outside of picture to check where he comes through. Eric Perrault, 3 out of 3. That's 4. And the French crowd love it. It's 5 out of 5 for Eric Perrault in the prone position.
Perrault skiing very well, coming in 5 seconds back of the leader, Horn. That's a sign that he's on good form. He's not normally... he really needs a 4 shooting stage race to really contend. This is maybe the best start we've seen from Eric Perrault in a sprint this season.
Yep. Won the sprint in Soldier Hollow towards the end of last season. Here's Jesper Nalen over the line. 0.5 ahead of Seppala. Missing 2 as well. He's really put a shift down on the skis. Here's Bjorn Sørlum.
Taking his time to that first shot. Leading by 6.2 over Uldal, his teammate, coming in. But a miss. So So skiing very fast is sort of, we're starting to see now where the Norwegians, we were pretty impressed with Horn, but now the Norwegians are kind of making that the standard.
Jeremy Finello. And a miss to start things off in the standing position, followed quickly by another.
Oh, Finello just doesn't look focused. He needs to work on his standing position. It moves so much that even to get 2 there is almost kind of a little bit of luck.
Not his day from the man just over the border in Geneva.
Yeah, standing position, you really need to be stable, hold that barrel solid, and Finello just too much movement in the barrel to have any kind of success standing. Here's Maé, 10 seconds back. Tends to start a little bit on the conservative side to make sure that the targets go down. Never worry about him being 10 back. Makes a slight adjustment to his sights.
And that is just special to listen to, isn't it? The crowd dropping deadly silent between every shoot, and the hit rewarded with flags, noise, cheers, the lot.
Trails by 10.4, a tight race between first and fifth. Uldal, Horn, Perot, Strelo, and Maé. That's your top 5 after prone.
And here comes Philip Horn towards the finish line. A man who hasn't finished inside the top 15 this season, and he's given that everything.
That's a good, solid performance by Horn. 48.0 seconds ahead of Nélin. Nélin had 2 misses to his 1, but you can see that Horn's time is still holding up after the first prone.
So one of your dark horses for this race, Chad. Tommaso Giacomel, clean in the prone position.
He's in relatively quick, 4.8 seconds back. If you're within 5, you're good. Not going to take the lead from Uldal, but he's going to challenge Perot, and he'll get there, I think, ahead of Perot.
And again, someone who has plenty of support in the crowd. Anton Duchenko. 28.5 seconds down, but so far shooting clean. And that is 10 out of 10. Nicely done.
This is going to be a good performance for him as well. They're just coming fast and furious. Almost can't keep track, but Duchenko trying to have a personal best today. He's finished 5th once, and he's inside that. He's 2nd now.
Yeah, we've still got some big names to start their race, and no bigger than that man, Johannes Thingnes in the split yellow and red bib. Sjostad Christiansen. And one miss at the end of his prone shoot, and you can see Ziggy Marseille throw his head back.
You know, the Norwegians their skis are on, they're feeling good. You can see, you saw the time of Horn. Horn is one of the best times through that prone shooting. Uldal supplanted him at only 1.9 seconds with even shooting. But the Norwegians are coming into prone fast, as you got Sørum and Christensen, but Sørum and Christensen each with a miss. So that keeps Uldal at the top of the order, and Horn still holding tough at 2nd after first shooting.
And there will be a certain level of pressure on Vella Sjostad Christiansen when you're looking at obviously the absence of Talia Bo, these youngsters coming up throwing down such incredible performances, and as the Norwegian Federation said as well, the fact there are so many youngsters knocking on the door in the IBU Cup as well. Philip Nadrat in 6th, 7.5 seconds down the German.
Yeah, when your depth is that strong, you can't ignore it forever. As we go to Campbell right now, comes in 11.1 seconds off the lead, taking his time for the first shot. He's been clean the last 2 sprint competitions of the season. He's 3 for 3, shooting relatively quickly. Solid stuff from Campbell Wright.
It's a great start from Campbell Wright, the blue bib holder. And as you said, clean in 2 sprint races before this. He will just now have to keep his mind clear of that fact, though, as he makes his way round before coming into the first and only standing shoot. Here's Stella Laglide dropping down into the prone position. Just 1 second off the pace.
Yeah, this is good skiing from Lagride. He's so stable on the range, and you know lots of athletes have misses. Uldal has not shot yet from the standing position. He's approaching that. Oh, fast. That was beautiful.
And just like his teammate, Martin Uldal, who is leading the standings at the moment, it will be close between these two. And it is incredibly close, 0.3 of a second. Sturla Holmla-Glide falls behind his young compatriot Martin Uldal, and both of them shooting incredibly quick and incredibly accurately, and that is exactly what Ziggy Marzay is looking for there.
Lagride, 23.6 seconds. He's the fastest of the people. Really, he's not the fastest of everybody, but he's faster than Uldal even by 1.5 seconds.
Sebastian Samuelsson now, here's someone who's very quick indeed.
10 seconds.
First shoot, 10.1 seconds up, just one podium in the sprint competitions last year. That was in Hochfilzen.
Gotta stay clean. Never won a race in Le Grand Bornand.
Could today be the day? Here's Martin Uldal as Sebastian Samuelsson breaks the position quickly. Keep your eyes, he's clean.
Oh, he's clean.
Martin Uldal is clean. It's spectacular from the young Norwegian. And they are really holding it to the experienced veterans in this Norwegian team.
Could it be the day for Uldal to break onto the podium? He's got the opportunity. He's 26.9 seconds clear of Horn. Horn had a miss. 30 clear of Duchenko. Nobody on the course in the last lap now is really going to challenge Uldal. We'll have to wait till further in the start order.
Well, here are the early split times of Johannes Thingnes Bo. So easy to identify from his skiing style, of course, but a split yellow and red vest. And yeah, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because you can kind of wipe the time of Ponsaloma away, and he's gone through 1.5 kilometers in second. Here's Emilien Jacquelin with a miss.
The French just not quite as sharp as they have been, maybe feeling the pressure of the home crowd, but skiing well is Jacquelin, but just that miss is going to put him out of contention. Yeah,
the French shooting coach Jean-Pierre Almat talking before this race, saying he's not at all surprised to see the French team doing so well in the relay. He did say in their 3-year project, the fundamental is shooting quick and shooting well, and Eric Perrault is shooting quick and shooting well. And there's the man who'll be very happy about it. This is his project, and Eric Perrault has just pulled it off to perfection.
Putting on a shooting clinic. He's not skiing at the level he needs to take the win, but he's just 23 back from Uldal. It probably won't be a podium for Perrault, but a great performance and a confidence booster if he can get into that pursuit and continue that 2 more times.
Well, what he will want to prove is that he's not just a flash in the pan in terms of this French team, and consistency, whether it's a podium, whether it's flower ceremonies, or whether it's top 10, will do that. Philipp Nadrat, the German, 3 for 3. Surlum now. And it's 1 miss for Nadrat, and that is what the Bjorn Surlum carries into the range for this second and final visit.
So now Horn really holding the mantle for the Germans here.
Yeah, 3 misses for Surlum.
Oh, it's just rough. And sometimes when you're skiing that well as Surlum has, he's been so fast all season, you just can't quite get the composure together on that standing sheet. You think everything's going fine, you come in and you're just a little too rattled.
So a nice wide shot there of the penalty loop. As the Norwegian makes his way around it.
So Uldal leading after 2. Samuelsson leading after 1. Uldal just 5.8 seconds slower than Samuelsson after the first shooting stage. Lagride right there with him.
Yep, absolutely.
And Philipp Horn, really a great performance by the German. Here's Kentofiomai now clean, but trailing by 17 seconds.
He's so loved by this crowd. Fond memories of competing here in the 2021-22 season. He can't quite get it over the line clean.
Yeah, in the 21-22 season, he and Jacquelin went 1-2 in the mass start, and he won the pursuit. So not going to get the win today like in 2021-22, but giving the French something to cheer about. 9 for 10. Perrault, the top Frenchman right now after 2, trailing by 23 seconds to the Norwegian Uldal still.
And so it'll be 1 more time around the 3.3 kilometer course for Quentin Fiormaillet. just behind the stand, halfway up the valley, there is a chalet adorned in a massive banner that says Allez Quentin. Here's Martin Uldal, look at that now, 26.3 seconds up. Well, this is very impressive indeed. His first flower ceremony of his career in Hochfilzen.
Giacomello with a massive opportunity there, and just, that's classic biathlon. Johannes Thingnes now.
Yep. Loves racing here. He comes into shooting 2.5 seconds quicker than Sebastian Samuelsson.
It's not a dominating performance like we're used to seeing. It'll be interesting to see how much effort he's put into this first loop. If he picks it up. Just a touch cautious.
A miss for Johannes Thingnes.
Samuelsson might be tasting, might smell the blood in the water here. He's clean, and he knows he'll get word out on course that Bö has missed. Oh, this makes it interesting.
It does indeed, as you see the name of Martin Uldal as well flash by. Johannes Thingnes has plenty of work to do if he's to catch up with the young and hungry Uldal. Here's Christensen. Can he go 9 out of 10? Not quite.
Oh. So Christensen will fall out of contention. So now we're watching for Sebastian Samuelsson at 4.8 kilometers. He's 10 seconds up on Sturla Holm-Lagride and 11 up on Uldal.
This is the 8.2 kilometer mark. And Eric Perrault is 33.5 seconds behind Martin Uldal, and Philip Horn is 6 seconds there and thereabouts ahead of him.
We're talking about the momentum that the French brought out of Hochfilzen coming into France here, coming into their home World Cup in France, and it feels like they're maybe just a little too fired up on the shooting range, not quite following through on making all 5 shots count, and Perrault the only one so far with a 0 next to his name, but he's not the fastest of their team.
Well, just a straight up clean shooting today, and he'll be very happy with that. Best shooter on the circuit last season, and he comes over the line in 4th, 46.2 seconds behind Philip Horn, and that's 39 athletes over the line now.
Should be seeing still Holm-Lagride and Samuelsson coming in. Sebastian Samuelsson started a minute behind Lagride, and he's on the tracks. Elapsed time 20 seconds back. He's got him by 10. Here's Lagride now, standing. Oh, and a miss.
Nine out of 10 for Sturla Holm-Lagride, second overall in the World Cup standings. Well, here is Martin Uldal, and will it be a famous podium or will it be a victory? We'll have to wait and see. Martin Uldal, what an impression he is leaving on the World Cup circuit.
He got the start and he made it into something special. It's all you can do in his position, and it's special it is. He's got a 28.6 second margin of lead right now over the German.
Well, we thought last time that we saw him step out in the sprint that it could be a podium. It wasn't quite, but he's put himself in a brilliant position as Sebastian Samuelsson misses on the first.
Uldal will celebrate that miss, because he may take the win now. Still Samuelsson flying on the skis, though. Remember, he's skied off a penalty loop to get onto the podium last weekend. So going to the penalty loop, he's going to fall outside the time. Uldal would have taken the lead by about 8 seconds.
And
7
of course,
seconds.
You know, we saw it last weekend with Johannes Thingnes. He can have those conservative starts, but he knows when to turn up the pace.
Now Uldal just has to see if his ski time with the perfect shooting is enough to fend off both Samuelsson and Johannes Thingnes, as Bö still has to shoot standing, but Samuelsson can kind of shed the worry about shooting and just go as hard as he can. Samuelsson is in great fitness right now. That's clear.
So we're waiting for Eric Perrault, and now we see the Frenchman desperate for a podium today. And he will slot in second place for now. Third place either, and he just drops below the time of Philip Horn.
So now just waiting to see what everybody else can do. Sebastian Samuelsson left after the penalty loop. 13.6 seconds down to Martin Uldal. Jacquelin had that miss from prone, and he's got another one from standing. Gonna have to find his way back in the pursuit competition, but he does damage control.
Yeah, so it'll be another around 23-ish seconds around that 150-meter penalty loop for Emilien Jacquelin, who, well, would have been desperate to find himself on the podium here.
So Martin Uldal, coming off the IBU Cup, just 5 World Cup starts, has been 5th and 7th, his 2 high water marks this season in Hochfilzen, the sprint and pursuit. Finished 7th in this event in Hochfilzen, finished 5th in the pursuit. He's holding off, trying to hold off the field, including Emilien Jacquelin in this last loop.
Here's Sulam. 3 misses on the day.
Look at his skiing, though. Despite the 3 misses, still challenging athletes with clean and 1 miss.
And you can see on his face just how hard he's had to work to really control the damage from the range. Philip Nalsvat.
Really going
so
for
far. Hesitancy before that last shot, but 9 out of 10 for Philip Nalsvat.
He's strong on the skis. You can see his ski speed is fine. That miss from prone, putting him back just a little bit, but can he ski his way back into podium position? He's going to leave 37.9, just 1 tick ahead of, 1/10 of a second ahead of Fillon Maillet.
And here is Quentin Fillon Maillet. Urged towards the line by the home crowd and over it in 4th, 49.8 seconds down. And the new name in Norwegian biathlon, Martin Uldal, clinging on as plenty of big names continue to go through the finish line and no one can challenge him. Sturla Holmberg, will it be his teammates who can find a final push? The gap surely too big now.
I think it's going to come down to Samuelsson and Johannes Thingnes skiing off a penalty loop. As you see Tommaso Giacomel trying to move into that 3rd spot ahead of Perrault of France.
Yeah, Otto and Vinius alongside him. Just tucked in behind the 2 of them, pushing towards the line. Giacomel over the line in 4th, 1 miss. Samuelsson, 8.1 seconds down at the 8.2 kilometer mark.
And Uldal shaking in his boots now because he started 10 seconds back. It's 2 seconds. Not a lot, but it's enough to make you nervous.
Well, he's running out of ground. It's going to be incredibly tight between those 2. As our final few bibs start to make their way out onto the course at the start of their race. Well, here's Johannes Thingnes.
Just 5 seconds back despite carrying a miss.
Well, he needs to be focused here, and he's urged on by Marzé.
Trying to make it win number 88 and draw 1 more closer to Bjørndalen in 95.
Here we go. 4 out of 4. That's 5. 9 out of 10 for Johannes Thingnes. Celebrations in the Norwegian camp. Keep your eyes on the clock here, because we know Johannes Thingnes is more than capable of throwing down an incredibly fast lap. Once again, he looks at the timing screen to his side. Vetle Sjostad Christensen over in 9th, 1 minute 10 seconds, 0.3 down on his compatriot Martin Uldal.
Really looking at Samuelsson and Johannes Thingnes, each with 9 of 10, skiing very quickly, but they're separated after shooting 2 by I think it's got to go back there. I think it's 8 seconds. Shooting 2, yeah, Boo, 7.6, 6 seconds between Samuelsson and Johannes Thingnes Boo.
As the rain, well, it's picked up, conditions worsening as Johannes Thingnes Boo is making his way round the final lap. Here's Stella Holmlaglide.
Martin Bulldog can't bear to watch.
No.
He's gonna get Lagride though. It's one teammate he's gonna best today. So the time of Horn, the one to beat now for Sturla.
Yep. Pushing all the way. Just one miss in the standing position. 32.3 seconds behind Martin Uldal. He goes into third, but we're still waiting on the finish of Sebastian Samuelsson and Johannes Thingnes Boo. Here's Samuelsson. And that finish time surely will move away. Yep, Martin Uldal will be out of reach for Sebastian Samuelsson. So really all Uldal has to watch for now is Johannes Thingnes Boo. Sebastian Samuelsson over the line in second. One hand, 1 foot on the podium.
I think he'll stay on the podium at this point unless there's somebody late in the starter who has a spectacular performance, but 9 for 10 on the day. Samuelsson has to feel that he could have, you know, it was going to take a clean shooting today to beat Uldal and Johannes Thingnes Boo with a miss, and he just didn't get that 10th shot.
So let's take a look at the intermediate results. Martin Uldal leading 10.8 seconds. Sebastian Samuelsson, Philip Horn in third. Sturla Holmlaglide fourth. Eric Perreault, really good shooting on the day, fifth. We are still waiting on the finish of Johannes Thingnes Boo. He has been cutting the gap to Martin Uldal, but will it be enough for an 88th victory? And a victory where he started back in 2013.
It was only a matter of time. You could feel Uldal, his breakthrough was coming. Clean shooting on this rainy day in Le Grand Bonhomme. And still waiting to see if he's going to get his first victory.
Here's Emilien Jacquelin rounding the corner, coming into the finishing straight, and the grimace on his face. He'd have wanted more from today. The fans are just happy to see the French colours over the line. 44.9 seconds down. Here's Johannes Thingnes Boo, and he's into the lead. And it's a 1.2 second advantage for Johannes Thingnes Boo, who for the first time in this race, and particularly the closing stages, has now gone above his young compatriot Martin Uldal, Philip Naudrat.
But it's not much, 1.2 seconds. You don't want to rest on 1.2 seconds if you're Johannes Thingnes Boo. You have to push.
But this is exactly what we saw from him in Hochfilzen, where he started conservatively and then he turned it up and turned it up again. I think this is very clever racing in the start of this season for Johannes Thingnes Boo.
Navarro's just trying to set himself up for a good finish in the pursuit, or a chance at the podium in the win. He's going to be about a little over 40 seconds back of Uldal.
Yep, fifth so far for Philip Naudrat. Pushing Eric Perreault down just a 10th of a second between Naudrat and Perreault.
Johannes Thingnes Boo started 2 minutes behind Navrov. He should be making his way momentarily. It was 1.2 seconds at 8.2 kilometers, so with 1.8 kilometers left, it's just a second and a half, or just 1.2. Pensive moments for Martin Uldal. I think he probably, since the jig is up with the time that Johannes Thingnes Boo has made back since the second shooting, 7.6 seconds is now of a deficit, now turned into a 1.2 second lead.
but still a first individual podium on the World Cup circuit in just 5 starts, and that is incredibly impressive when you look at the quality of this field and the big names that he is keeping out of this Norwegian team. So here we go, Johannes Thingnes. 1.2 seconds was his lead at 8.2 kilometers. We will keep eyes on him as he goes over this final bridge.
Softer conditions, he looked great in the relay last week in Hochfilzen, kind of like the Johannes Thingnes that we saw with that power, snappy kicks. Not quite as dominant looking today, but he's got 33 seconds to get to this finish line. I think he's going to do it.
Well, he said that Hochfilzen is a course that he loves competing at, one that's made for him. You have to say the same about Annecy as well, particularly the similarities with that downhill into the range.
It's tight.
It's so tight. Johannes Thingnes, he needs to push. He's being urged on now. The cries into the air. The Norwegian, keep your eyes on the clock. Will it be win 88?
No, I don't think so.
It's going to be so close for Johannes Thingnes. He has to keep pushing. And it's Martin Oldal who takes it. Johannes Thingnes second behind young Martin Oldal, who has announced his presence on the World Cup circuit. There was hardly anything in it. 1.4 seconds. Johannes Thingnes. Well, at some point, I'm sure that he thought he might just have had it. But it's Martin Oldal with his first victory on the BMW IBU World Cup. What a way to announce yourself and to prevent an 88th win for Johannes Thingnes. Martin Oldal will be leading the way on the pursuit tomorrow, and he will be chased by the great Johannes Thingnes.
At the 8.2 kilometer mark, I saw that 1.2 seconds, and I thought, you know, we didn't really see Martin Oldal's finish. There's too much going on during the race, so it was really hard to say how well he closed. And Johannes Thingnes, as we said before, is not the greatest closer. Oldal surprises, and he gets the win.
Wow. We spent a lot of time discussing the makeup of the Norwegian team before this race started, and this is exactly why. Because Martin Oldal making this step up from the IBU Cup. He started on the IBU Cup this season. He impressed. He's been given the nod. And surely, well, he'll be off to the World Championships. It's going to take something to budge Martin Oldal from this Norwegian team.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is that he really can't be budged. When you win a World Cup, you're not going back down to the IBU Cup.
He's here to stay. The young Martin Oldal is here to stay, and well, Johannes Thingnes, speaking before the start of the season, said repeatedly how it's getting harder and harder to compete against, to beat those who he's starting amongst, and particularly those wearing the Norwegian flag. But did he think at the start of the season that Martin Oldal, I mean, he did, Martin Oldal did have a very impressive pre-season race against Johannes Thingnes, but, well, that is spectacular. Here's Jakob Fack, who, well, is having a brilliant start to the season. He'll be outside of the top 20 this time round, but still booking his place for the pursuit tomorrow. Shake of the head, he'd have wanted more. He's finished just ahead of Fabien Claude.
One miss on the day, but probably a little bit discouraging with the ski time for Falk. And these rainy conditions, very slow on the skis. And the light actually starting to get darker. They've got the lights on the range just because the actual sunlight, the ambiance of the sunlight is dropping so rapidly at this point in the day. Just 3:20 in the afternoon local time. But Martin Oldal, absolute story. And we're going to remember that one.
We will remember that one. And you do feel like Norway, well, outside of Johannes Thingnes, Stella Holmgren, of course, making a very good start to the season, but they want someone to step up. They want to challenge the youngsters, and they continue to give them opportunities, and that is why we see so many big Norwegian names drop down to the IBU Cup. because there's so much talent in the ranks.
And it is challenging for the coaching staff to make that transition when you have seasoned veterans who have won so many World Cups, been on the podium so many times. How do you decide when it's time for Martin Oldal's chance? And he got it today, and he made the most of it. And that's you led with that question: are we seeing a transition? And I think we absolutely are today.
Because it's not just for Martin Oldal, that win. That win is for those who are on the IBU Cup.
Botten is the guy that comes to mind, yeah.
Who's obviously in the reserve group. Isaac Frey as well, who was amongst the discussions when Martin Oldal was given the nod. It was between him and Isaac Frey at the time. And he has just done them a brilliant service as well as saying, look, I'm here, but also there's plenty of us competing on the IBU Cup who deserve a chance.
Jaco Ranta going to be very close to a personal best for him. His personal best is 23rd. He's 34th now. That'll be his best. That'll be his best, second best finish of that hole this season. Had a 35th in Contiolahti in the short individual. Jaco Ranta did. So Sebastian Samuelsson, just that one missed shot from the perfect day, and he'll be on the podium, but it'll be third step again for him. He's been there once before. He's been second once this season. He was second in the sprint in Contiolahti. This will be Sebastian Samuelsson's second podium of the season. Clearly in good ski shape, challenging Johannes Thingnes on ski time. And you could see Johannes Thingnes, he was not particularly thrilled at the finish line that he lost that time to Oldal. Still the fastest ski time of the day by 10 seconds, or course total time, over Sebastian Samuelsson by 10 seconds. Ponsaloma 17 back from Van Surum. Oldal, the 7th fastest skier on the course, 26 seconds slower than Johannes Thingnes. But just enough to take the win in biathlon, which is what this is all about. It's nice to see the ski times and understand how people did it, but this man did it with notoriously quick shooting and maybe the ski performance of his career. Beautiful technician is Martin Oldal, 23 years of age, and just continuing the lore of the Norwegian squad.
You say ski performance of the year. I think there's a fairly strong argument, and one that I don't think will be debated, that is the performance of his lifetime.
Oh, absolutely.
Shooting clean and really impressing out on the skis.
And poor Philip Horn. He gets fourth again. He matches his career best, but misses the podium by 18 seconds.
But hasn't finished inside the top 15 so far this season, so he's really got his season started. He'll be in the flower ceremony. Someone who won't be, though, is Eric Perrault, 7th, shooting clean and shooting incredibly well, but not enough to get him into the flower ceremony. Still secured himself a very good bib, of course, for tomorrow in the I keep saying tomorrow, Saturday in the pursuit. Of course, we have the women tomorrow in the sprint.
See Anton Wiedmar, bib 80 coming to the finish. His personal best, 15th. He's going to be outside that. We talked coming into today about the French bringing the momentum from Hochfilzen here to France, and you know, a little bit of a punch to the stomach to not have a single Frenchman in the flower ceremony, and I don't think that's going to change. So they have to come back in the pursuit to thrill this crowd.
Yep, 3 in the top 10. Fillon Maillet finishing 10th. Emilien Jacquelin 8th. Eric Perrault, of course, as we mentioned, just ahead of him in 7th. But they had had sights on the podium. Still, 2 more opportunities for the Frenchmen to try and replicate and continue that excellent form that we're seeing in the relay. Of course, no relay this weekend, Chad, but if there was, you wouldn't be excluding that man, Martin Oldal, would you, in the way that they did in Hochfilzen?
No, but Vibjorn Sørum learned very quickly what kind of pressure comes with that, as he crumbled in the relay and they finished second again. So the next relay for Norway, it's going to be interesting. I think Oldal will get the nod. You almost have to give him the nod. But that won't happen until after the holiday break in the new year. There is Martin Oldal checking his phone. Maybe getting a selfie on Instagram. I'm the best in the world today.
Well, I'm sure his notifications will be going a little bit wild. And you can see that smile there.
Well, it's got to be a great feeling for Oldal. Looked like he was going to get overtaken by the great one, and I was a little bit surprised at how relatively salty JT Boo's face was after crossing the line. He was pretty not terribly upset, but
I think potentially it would be more of the fact that he hasn't won, and nothing, of course, to do with his impressive teammate. I think of course, that he has really taken to and loves so much. He loves so many fond memories of starting that incredible career where he hasn't stopped winning. His first win was here. His first 2 wins were here, and he's won 4 out of the 6 sprints he's competed in here. So
yeah.
Before today, of course. Now it's 4 out of 7.
And any competitive athlete is not going to be very excited to lose by 1.4 seconds. So it's not, it's understandable. And I think once the sting wears off, he'll be very complimentary of Martin Oldal on his first victory.
And the thing is, and what is core, I think, to Johannes Thingnes' success is him being pushed.
Absolutely.
He wants to be pushed. We've heard that in his interviews where he's spoken so much about the relationship with Talia, and that he is desperate for Talia to keep going and keep pushing him. Because in the end of the day, that family competitiveness is such a big motivator for him. But in the races where Talia isn't here to push him, the next thing to family is your teammates. They become family, they are family. And having someone like Martin Oldal, 23 years of age, breathing down your neck and edging ahead of you in days like today, I think that could be incredibly important for Johannes Thingnes over the course of, the next year, and heading in, of course, to the Olympics.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern is if you watch or you follow with the Boo brothers, how they speak about each other. They very much love to do this together. And if you get to a point where Tarjei Boo decides to retire, then the question becomes, what does Johannes Thingnes Boo do? Because they are very much a unit, and it remains to be seen. I don't really know if I have the answer yet, but there's been some talk that they would retire together. But I think Johannes Thingnes Boo still has some unfinished business to attend to, including trying to challenge his countryman's Olympic medal count in Biathlon. That's one of the things he hasn't done yet. Andrzej Nedja-Kubiniec, veteran of the Polish team. One more trip to the penalty loop, has 3 already from the prone position, so a rough day for him on the range. Run down the order and see. You got Philip Horn with a season best in 4th. Sturleholm Lagride for Norway with a missed shot in 5th, and holding down the 6th and final flower ceremony spot is Philip Navrath, pushing Eric Perrault off that flower ceremony by a 1/10 of a second. Perrault in 7th, Emilien Jacquelin 8th, Tomaso Giacomel in 9th, and Quinton Fillon-Maillet in 10th. So French in 7, 8, and 10. Not a terrible showing, but just a little bit stings maybe a little bit to see the Norwegians go 1, 2, and 5.
Yep, they're inside the top 10, but they will have their eyes firmly set on standing on the podium over the course of the next 2 races for the men. And of course, it's around the time where we look at who's made it in, and arguably more importantly, who hasn't made it into the pursuit. Otto Invinius currently 61st, so just outside. Martin Ponsaloma, 58th. So as things stand, clinging on with 87 athletes out of 101 over the finish line, onto a place in the pursuit. Not a great day at all for Maxime Germain. 4 misses. He won't be qualifying for the pursuit in the same way he did in Hochfilzen.
Thomas Glenark now, trying to move. He's going to move into the 68th spot. He's outside the top 60 for the pursuit as well. Americans with Jake Brown in 54th now, trying to sneak inside the pursuit. He's one ahead of Andres Strømsheim of Norway. Strømsheim, 1 miss only and 159 back. So Strømsheim not having a great day on the skis. Sean Doherty, despite 2 misses, in 42nd, and Campbell Wright with 9 out of 10 in 19th spot currently. So he will be 117 out. Tero Seppala with a season best right now in the top 20.
Yeah, out of those early starters we're keeping an eye on. Seppala, bib number 3, as you say, Chad, finishing 20th. Philip Horn as well, standout performer, wearing bib 18, finishing 4th, missing once. First time in the top 15 this season in an individual competition.
Watching through our field of 101 starters on this first day of competition in Le Grand Bernard. Still, looks like we have about 9 left to finish. As things get pretty dark this afternoon.
As the cloud cover has moved back in and the rain continuing to pour down. The traditional cockerel hats just picked to top spot of most popular outdoor wear by the ponchos. That plenty are now adorning. Our final athletes out on the range.
Bib 94, Asset Dusanov of Kazakhstan. Hasn't scored a point this season. You have to finish in the top 40 to score a point on the World Cup rankings list, and Dusanov has yet to do that. 27 years of age from Almaty, Kazakhstan. Comes across the line in 79th. Almaty sort of the WinterSports Center for Kazakhstan winter sport. They've had the Junior World Championships there for cross-country skiing. They were a candidate for the Olympics against Beijing for the 2022 games, and obviously didn't prevail there.
Keva of Estonia.
Going to fall outside the top 80. So still looking for nobody really on the course left with a chance at the top 60. So it looks like Sinkovic of Croatia right now in the 60th and final spot. Ponsaloma will sneak in despite 6 missed shots today.
And 4 of those, of course, in the prone position. Anton Sinapov of Bulgaria, 2 misses on the day, over the line in 82nd.
Ponsaloma may just want to use the opportunity in the pursuit just to try to turn things around mentally. It can be so heavy trying to figure out what's going on, especially when you're missing prone at this level. Something going on with the way you're pulling the trigger or seeing the sight picture or both.
He flew out the blocks, didn't he? He really felt like he meant business today.
Oh, yeah, he has the fastest ski time. He outskied Johannes Thingnes by 10, he's third fastest ski time. Sorry, he's 17 back of Johannes Thingnes, but yeah, he's in the top 3 ski times. But it's biathlon.
It is indeed. as is perfectly illustrated by Johannes Thingnes, finishing 1.4 seconds behind his compatriot after being fastest out on the course today. Martin Uldal, 7th fastest ski time. Gazmize, the Latvian Thingnes, is in standing position. And despite the rain continuing to pour down, the support in the stands still excellent. Expecting around 60,000 fans to make their way down to Le Grand Bonnard over the course of the next 4 days. And of course going into double days as we hit the weekend.
Some hardy fans out there battling some pretty miserable downpour rain. And there's the hugs and congratulations to Martin Uldal.
So it's a real shame that his skis are covering Ziggy Marze there.
Pretty impressed with Ziggy's Norwegian.
And of course, everything that comes with your first World Cup victory.
The anti-doping agent, they're ready to sign you in for a sample.
And well, we'll look forward to hear from him shortly as he makes his way towards the interviews and the mix zone.
Final 2 competitors on the course. Nete Kubiniec from Poland and number 100. Second to last finisher on the course is that man from Poland, Roberto Piqueras Garcia of Spain, making his way to the finish from Jaca, Spain, the WinterSports playground of the Spanish population.
4 misses on the day, 2 in each position. The only Spaniard on the circuit. And a punch to the crowd. We've seen over the course of the races in Pilsen as well, plenty of the athletes liking to show appreciation for those who have stayed all the way to cheer them over the line. As we take a look back at the race from the new name in Norwegian biathlon, Martin Uldal. And I say that as new name competing on the World Cup. He's very well decorated as a junior athlete and has shown plenty of promise and success on the IBU Cup, which is what's earned him this opportunity, and he's grasped it with both hands. Clinching victory from Johannes Thingnes by 1.4 seconds.
He's got 4 bronze medals from the Junior World Championships 3 seasons ago, but this is a horse of a different color. Winning a World Cup, that's a big move forward for this young man. Really great tuck skating there. You can see knee drive down the track straight towards the finish line. Really great body position. I've been very impressed with his ski technique. Very classic Norwegian. His body weight in all the right places. His vectors for pushing just perfect.
And I have to say, I've been informed this by our stats master. This isn't one that's come from me, but he has equaled Stella Holmlaglide as a first win in 5 World Cup starts. So that's something as well that Stella Holmlaglide did as well. And Martin Uldal following in his steps clinching his first win here in Annecy. And in the same way that Johannes Thingnes obviously has such great memories, couldn't quite make 88 here today, but you do wonder in whether the same manner this will spark something in the young Norwegian. Quentin Fillon-Maillet rounding out the top 10. Three Frenchmen in the top 10, but no podium today. Sebastian Samuelsson taking third. Philip Horn fourth, and that's brilliant, wearing bib 18 and having not finished in the top 15 so far this season. One miss, Stella Holmler-Glide as well. One miss for him. Philip Nadrat. That means two Germans in the flower ceremony, also with one miss. He is sixth. That rounds out the flower ceremony. Eric Perrault shooting clean, but just outside it in seventh.
That statistic of matching Lagride for a first win within 5 World Cup starts, it maybe gives us a little insight into what Martin Oldal's future may be like as a biathlete.
And as we look between finishes 49 down to 60, of course we point out 60 as the top 60 athletes qualifying for the pursuit on Saturday. Otto Invinius of Finland, despite a good start to the season, he hasn't been able to qualify for the pursuit on Saturday.
Krasimir Crnkovic, excuse me, from Croatia, the final competitor to get into that 60-person pursuit. His personal best is a 31st in the sprint in Nove Mesto 2 seasons ago, and then finished 36th in that pursuit. So has been in a pursuit for one of his best finishes in 36th.
So we expect the weather to improve for the women tomorrow. Some snow overnight, we hope. Johannes Thingnes, though, of course, retaining that yellow bib. 414 points. Stella Holmler-Glide holding on to second position. As we look further down the order, Martin Oldal already up to 11th. Campbell Wright as an under-23 athlete, so Martin Oldal just falling outside of that competition owing to him being 23. Campbell Wright will keep hold of the blue bib. Vitaly Manzin is second in that competition.
A tight competition between the American Wright and Manzin today. Manzin got the better of him, shooting clean, 113. Campbell Wright finishing 4 seconds back in 19th, Manzin in 16th. So tight competition between those two, but the blue bib continuing to be held on by the American. Yeah, and excellent from Vitaly Manzin as well. What a start to the season he's been having, and also receiving plenty of praise from Johannes Thingnes as well. Great to see the youngsters performing so well, and not just the Norwegians who are stepping up this season.
Sure. Yeah.
Ja, det är toppen av ganska bra. Kombinera det. Ja, det är det.
Nu har jag sagt till SVT att du får julklapp.
Ja, det är det.
I know that you know.
So leading out the flower ceremony for the first time, Martin Oldal. And looking like an experienced head as he turned around as they're waiting to come out, just to adjust Johannes Thingnes' Bow's bib, like he hadn't done one of these before. But it is Martin Oldal with a historic victory, you have to say it, beating Johannes Thingnes' Bow by 1.4 seconds. Martin Oldal, his first podium, his first victory on the IBU World Cup. Within 5 races as well.
You only ever get your first one once,
Yep.
and you're going to remember that one forever. 11 years ago, it was the man next to him, Johannes Thingnes Bø, who got his first win against some of the biggest names in the sport at that time.
Yep, and this time round, Martin Oldal. But first, it's another podium for Sebastian Samuelsson. Only one podium last season in the sprint competition. So already making strides on that this time round. Finishing second in the sprinting Contiolahti, has to settle for third here today. An excellent skiing performance, but one that still found him crossing the line. 10.8 seconds down on Martin Oldal. Two flower ceremonies in Hopfilson though for Sebastian Samuelsson in the individual events. So back on the podium here, Johannes Thingnes Bø. Well, he did everything he could after that one miss, but he couldn't quite catch young Martin Oldal. It's not 88 today for Johannes Thingnes Bø, but he will wear a very favourable bib as he goes into his preferred event tomorrow in the Pursuit. And you won't rule him out of that one by any means. Settling for second, though, today, the great Johannes Thingnes Bø. Beaten by the young name, the new name on this scene, on the World Cup circuit. His 5th start, his first victory. Martin Oldal, take a bow. He steps above the podium, roars, lifts those recognisable pink poles in the air. Martin Oldal will remember this forever, and it will stay in the minds of Norwegian biathlon fans for the years, if not decades to come, because this young man is going places.
That face is going to become very recognisable in the next few days.
So he will be leading the way from Johannes Thingnes Bø, and you can tell that that is a very special first victory and first podium for Martin Oldal. The raw emotion there. There's very few times we get to see those kinds of expressions on young athletes as they step up to the podium, but that was something incredibly special to witness. Well, Philip Horn, back in form. He'll be delighted with the performance today, wearing bib 18, managing to lay down a good enough performance to finish 4th. He was 28.6 seconds behind Martin Oldal. Sturla Holmlegreid, who will continue to hold second place in the overall standings. 5th on the day today, 1 miss, also with 1 miss, the second German in the flower ceremony, Philipp Navrat. He started the season well. But all the attention is on the man who tops the podium, Martin Oldal. What a performance. He'll be soaking up every moment as he just adjusts his collar on his jacket. The rain pouring down here in Annecy. The final wave to the crowd, and that smile is so pure. Scanning the crowd, soaking it all in. What a special moment for the 23-year-old. And so we have kicked off the third stop on the BMW IBU World Cup Tour for 2024-25 in style. The men's 10-kilometre sprint more than delivering. We will be back tomorrow for the women's sprint. But the headlines over the course of the next 24 hours before that women's sprint starts will all be about Martin Oldal and his performance today. Johannes Thingnes, of course, retaining the red bib as well after 3 competitions, 215 points in the overall, in the sprint score. Of course, a competition that his older brother won last year. And of course, if you want to look at any of the results and standings in any extra detail, do download the IBU app. Plenty of additional content on there as well that is certainly worth getting your teeth into. As you can see in the background, the extent of the rain here. We'll be back tomorrow at 2:20 Central European time in the afternoon for the women's 7.5 kilometre sprint. Do join us then.